and his wild baying ended any hope of silence. "To me, boys!" The dwarf raced toward the explosion site and caught a fleeting glimpse of the buck as it darted away through the underbrush again. "Stay on 'em!" A roar of engines broke through the noise from the hounds, and June landed in front of Johnny with a crash. The sputter of her jetpack cyborg boots winked out against the mud. He staggered to a halt and scowled at her. "What the hell are you doing here?" The augmented crystal woman sneered at him and gestured toward the escaping buck. Leroy and the twins, Brandon and Clint, darted out of the next thick stand of trees. Their feet trampled reeds and ferns and launched huge sprays of swamp water. The shifter cyborg raised his fully mechanical arm, and the click and whir of all the segmented parts made a massive racket as he transformed what had looked like a robotic hand into the barrel of a huge hand cannon. "Got it." Leroy aimed into the swamp as his weapon powered up. No, wait a goddamn... Johnny lunged at the shifter Borg, but Leroy fired before he made it halfway to him. A churning bolt of crackling magic propelled by technological force blasted after the buck that raced through the swamp. The charge struck the base of a mangrove stand, which erupted in splintered fragments and smoking leaves. The hounds bayed in the distance.
"What the hell, Johnny?"
"Yeah, you said this was hunting, not target practice with new bombs."
"The buck's getting away, Johnny."
The dwarf swung his rifle into the air and fired. "Y'all need to cut it out!" Brandon and Clint fired their magical blasts into the trees and thick underbrush, heedless of the fact that no one had any idea where the buck was. All Johnny knew was that it wasn't where he had intended to shoot it and bring it home. "This ain't war, numbnuts! It's a goddamn hunt!" He strode toward the cyborg twins, skidded to a stop in front of them, and raised his rifle. They stared at him in silence and without emotion, and he uttered a piercing whistle. "Rex! Luther!" The hounds splashed through the water toward their master, covered in mud and shredded foliage, and panted heavily.
"What gives, Johnny?"
"We were this close."
"And then you go and blow up the whole... Oh, hey, where did they come from?"
Johnny glared at the four cyborgs who crashed his hunting party. "Y'all cost me a monster of a 4-point buck. There better be a damn good reason for it." The twins shrugged. Leroy and June shared an emotionless glance, and the shifter gestured toward Johnny. "You forgot to invite us, so we decided we'd come help anyway." "Forgot?" he growled in annoyance. "I didn't tell you on purpose." Luther trotted to his master's side and gazed at the cyborgs who stood in the swamp. Their metal gears clicked and whirred, and the internal mechanisms of their augmented limbs lit up with a silver glow.
"Johnny, I don't think they know how to hunt."
"No shit." Leroy shrugged as his hand cannon morphed into something resembling fingers. "Better luck next time, right?" "No, this ain't about luck and there ain't a next time." The dwarf glanced over his shoulder at the destroyed mangroves and the giant crater June had blasted into the berm. "Shit. All right, boys, we're calling it off. Let's go."
"But Johnny, the buck..."
He snapped his fingers and swung the rifle to rest it against his shoulder as he brushed past the cyborgs. "Now."
"Oh, man,"
Rex sniffed the ground as he shuffled after his master.
"We were this close."
"Yeah, I wanted a buck neck between my teeth."
"And I wanted the thing gutted and quartered with a trophy on my wall and meat sent out for processing. These damn bugs can't leave well enough alone." Another massive explosion detonated behind him, and he whirled to scowl at the small mushroom cloud and the spray of swamp water before June's jetpack boots kicked off and she launched herself skyward. The twins stared at Johnny. Leroy's gaze followed June's flight before she disappeared above the thick trees, and a smirk played on his lips. "What the hell are y'all still doing here? Let's go!" The dwarf strode through the mud and backtracked to where he'd left his flat-bottom airboat tied off on the riverbank. "I ain't gonna last much longer than this with 4 cyborgs butting in where they ain't needed or wanted." The hounds trotted beside him.
"We gonna try again, Johnny?"
"Yeah, we'll get it next time. You watch."
"Not today, boys." He gritted his teeth and tried to ignore the crashes and splashes of Leroy and the twins behind him. It was impossible.